Yourself?
We're doing fine. We are in kind of sunny and drizzly San Jose.
Okay. On a road trip.
That's right. We're kind of connecting food, farming, and health. I'm joined by Rick Polito, who is a director of content at New Hope and editor-in-chief of Nutrition
Yep.
Business Journal. And then in the back
Great.
seat, we're dropping off Bethany Davis, who is of Food State Mega Food. So we're all kind of looking forward to our conversation.
Hello, Walter.
Fantastic. That's good. Good morning. Good afternoon. Whatever. You're in San Jose, so it's West Coast. Yeah, good.
You get to experience dropping off Bethany at the airport by audio.
So, Walter, under your leadership,
Yes.
we'll just kind of cut right into this. Under your leadership, Whole Foods kind of pioneered this local producer loan program, which I'm a recipient of. Do you see these models going out into the rest of the retail or natural product industry space for other companies to kind of replicate, or how can we grow farms?
Right. Well, I think remember it's the customer's demand, the customer's growing interest. Businesses are the conduit for that, but I think that any way that a retailer can support a farmer, whether it's through a loan program, whether it's through visibly recognizing where the farm is or how the farmer or celebrating the farmer, I think those are the ways in which we're going to help to grow farms. But the overall interest in farming, the overall return to the land, in some ways, which mirrors what was happening when I was growing up, I think there's a tremendous rejuvenation of interest in the health of the farm, the health of the farming, and I think whether it's through a loan program, whether it's through different USDA programs to encourage folks to stay on the ground. I think there's lots of different ways for the farmers to elevate.
Right.
But I mean, the local loan program, the Whole Foods it's grown. I think we're over $20 million in loans at this point, maybe 7 or 8 years down the road. So it's a lot of loans. But it isn't just for farmers; it's also for small producers as well, right? You know that. So, yeah.
That's great, and it's really wonderful to have that necessary capital to kind of create that vibrancy for growth and that platform for growth. Another question that I have is a topical question, but we're seeing a climate, a political climate, a national climate. Do you think there's in the same way there's a rejuvenation or the want for family farm products and for this kind of more of this know your farmer, know your food, or know your local company? Do you think that consumers are sort of awakening to the idea of a more enlightened consumerism, so to speak?
There's no question. We don't know whether the government this time around is going to be more enlightened because some of the noises that have been made there suggest that perhaps they're thinking differently. But there's no question in my mind that the customers are more aware now of the importance of good, healthy food and how food is grown and who's growing the food more aware. And look at the explosion of farmers markets. Look at the explosion of interest in the smaller farm size. The big thing we're seeing in the numbers from USDA, we're seeing explosion in small farm. We're just not seeing the growth of the middle-sized farm, but we're seeing large growth in the small farm. So I think that there's no question the confluence of science, of the media, of the customer's own research, and just the awareness has generated a customer who's more interested in food and farming than I've seen in a long time. So I think we're on the cusp of we're seeing an activist customer who is armed with more information and tools and platforms and is more interested in information and product than anytime since I've been doing this. It's at all time high from my perspective.
That's great.
Well, Walter, we were talking about this a little bit, but we at New Hope are talking a lot about business as a force for good, and that obviously everybody has to step up now with this political change. Does that need to be communicated, and can it be communicated to the consumer?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way it's communicated is that the customers are part of businesses. The customers support businesses that are the customers are going to want to support businesses that are doing right and doing well in the world. So yeah, but I mean, you know that for all of us, Ultras, we feel strongly that the business is the greatest force for change in the world, and it has to set an example of having having a larger purpose than just making money, and a larger sense of responsibility in the world than just operating the business. And that means looking after the stakeholders, the communities, the team members, the supplier partners, all that. And that view of what we call a conscious business is really essential to building a vibrant future. So I think it can and should be communicated. I think you should, in the New Hope, should continue to tell stories about how businesses, like what businesses are doing to contribute to their health of their community, to the world, beyond just growing the product. Those stories need to be told, and that's a narrative that needs to be told more broadly in the world than it is around not just people who are doing shady things in business, but people are doing amazing things in business, right?
Yes.
And
Walter, on that note, I really appreciate what you've done with conscious capitalism and what this whole network of people. Actually, the next person we're talking to is Dr. Ed Freeman. And so we'll be discussing that multi-stakeholder benefit theory. And you gave a great talk, which I think can be found on YouTube, to his class. What can you describe what that conscious capitalism model represents a little bit?
Yeah, Ed Freeman's a great guy, by the way. He's a quintessential college professor. He's fantastic. I mean, if you ever want to have someone imagine what it's like to go to a great college class, Ed Freeman is that guy for you. He's awesome. I think at the core of it is the notion that capitalism is a set of beliefs or principles around an economic system, right? And conscious capitalism is the idea that you're going to use those or deploy those to make a meaningful difference in the world beyond just your own profit. And so the notion is really that you're embracing as a business. The 4 principles of conscious capitalism are, first of all, that business has a deeper purpose, a reason for being, something that exists that you create the business to be able to do and make a difference. An example of Whole Foods, bringing healthier food to the world, bringing a workplace based on love and respect. And I think the second thing is the notion that you've got these various stakeholders, and so that it's not just about the shareholder, but it's about the broader suite of stakeholders who have a legitimate interest in the history of and the success of the business, and that you're thinking about all of those stakeholders as you're growing your business, and you're making decisions to support all of those stakeholders, not just the profit. And by doing that, you're going to actually benefit the shareholder stakeholder. That the leadership matters. That that the leaders of the business, that the business can only progress as quickly as the leaders of the business itself become more conscious and more aware of their responsibilities, and that is to grow other people and have business take that sort of responsibility. And finally, that the business has to continue to invest in its culture. That the culture, which is where the purpose, where the values live, they come alive in the culture, which is what how people feel about working at the business, or how people feel at shopping at the business. Those 4 principles essentially at the core of conscious capitalism. And there's lots of businesses that are calling this different things. Richard Branson has a name for it. Enlightened capitalism. Bill Gates has creative capitalism. There's lots. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but it's this notion that you're really you're thinking differently about the role the business can play in the world and the change it can create. And that's really the heart of the matter.
Well, you might know we're on this road trip to Expo. We left Boulder on Friday. We're stopping and talking to farmers and producers and other people, and doing phone interviews from the car on the dash cam here. What story do you think we could be telling?
Well, I love you're kind of like Charles Corral on the road again, right? Talking about this regeneration of the. I think the story is the energy that you feel, that you're basically, we all know that you're being, you're moving towards the giant energy ball that's going to be Anaheim, which is going to be 75, 80,000 people, New Hope convening, a show I've been going to for over 30 years, where the mass of energy there towards creating positive change in the world is phenomenal. And so you're on the road picking up pieces of that and weaving pieces of the story together. It's all going